Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. This is episode 348, as well as day 348 of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to run 365 days in a row, all outside, bigger in the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenged myself to run 1,500 miles within this time frame, and to run 2 major races as well within this yearly time frame. One of those races being a 50K ultramarathon trail race. That was the Yankee Springs 50K trail race out in Middleville, Michigan. That was on day 156 of my journey. I was able to finish that 31-mile race within 7 hours, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds. Now, the next race that came up within this yearly time frame of me running 365 days in a row was the Detroit Free Press Marathon. That was on day 290 of my journey, and I was able to run that race within 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 28 seconds. So both of those races, the 50K and the marathon, were both actual personal records for me. I was very excited about both those times. Definitely wanted to have a better time on the 50K, but being my first ever 50K trail race running, I was content with just finishing. So I was stoked about that. I was really excited about going sub 4 in that marathon. Now we're sitting here on day 348. It has been a crazy journey, so let's actually break down the miles for the day today, the week, the month, and the year. So day 348 in a row this year of me running. I was able to get out there today to keep the run streak alive and put in 3.1 miles for the day. Another 5K. So that put me at 6.2 miles for the week, which put me at 43.9 miles for the month, which put me at 1,619.2 miles for the year. I would like to focus in on first these yearly miles of 1,619.2 miles. That is because I have surpassed the yearly goal of 1,500 miles. It was originally 1,250. Realized I was going to surpass that with right around halfway through the year, so I bumped it to 1,500. Thought that'd be a more closer range. Surpassed that here in mid-November. Have not really reset a goal number after the 1,500 goal, but we are 119.2 miles over that goal so far, and now we're just going to kind of see where we end up, because I had been nursing an actual foot injury. So other than that, we can focus in on these monthly miles now that we talked about the yearly miles. And I want to focus in on these monthly miles of 43.9 because every single month I challenge myself to run a 100-mile challenge in which I run 100 miles that month in honor of a charity in which I donate money to, as well as start a coinciding fundraiser to try to raise money and awareness for throughout that month. So for the first 11 months of the year, we raised money for 11 great charities. Now we're here within the 12th month, the month of December, and we're raising money for yet another great charity. The charity for December's 100-mile challenge is St. Jude's Children's Hospital. If you would like to donate to this month's fundraiser or share and help raise awareness for this month's fundraiser, you can find the link to do so on the Defining Discipline Instagram story or the Defining Discipline Facebook stories, or my personal page's Instagram story or my personal page's Facebook story. Within those stories, all you have to do is click within the link in the story, and it'll open up the actual page where you're able to make your donations. Now keep in mind, all donations, every percentage of your donation, if you donate, goes directly to St. Jude's. It goes to this cause. Facebook is not taking or keeping any percentage or portion of your donations. So that is something to keep in mind when making donations, knowing that every single penny is going to the cause. And I do know times are tough, though. Not everyone can always afford to donate, especially in these times, and it being the holiday season. I get maybe you cannot donate, But if you are feeling giving and you can donate, it's very well appreciated. Maybe you have donated and you want to help out more, or you can't donate. The next best thing you could do is click on that share button to try to help raise awareness for this cause here throughout this month. It goes a long way getting as many eyes on it as possible, so click that share button, and if you can, get your donations in as well for St. Jude's Children's Hospital for the December 100-mile challenge. Like I said, I kind of wanted to focus in on the monthly miles of 43.9. That's also kind of because I am a little bit behind this month. I have fell super far behind while kind of nursing my foot, trying not to go too hard, too fast, getting back into it. So I would have liked to have been at 50 miles already at this point, since we are right around halfway through the year, not halfway through the year, halfway through the month. But no, I guess we technically 15, 16 is halfway through the month, so we'll be right around 50, right around there. But I think I'm still going to try to pick it up here a little bit within these last few weeks and try to go somewhere right around maybe 120, 125 miles. We'll see, but that'd be kind of cool if I'd be able to get that. Now, other than that, let's kind of get into today's episode. For today, right before we get into today's episode for today, is what I meant to say. We will go over quickly the word of the day for December 14th. And it is flippant. So December 14th's word of the day is flippant. Flippant means lacking proper respect or seriousness. Flippant. That is today's word of the day for December 14th. Now, for today's episode 348, let's get into today's actual episode. The theme for today is going to be Forge. And there's a few reasons why I wanted to talk about Forge. First and foremost, just the definition alone. There's a few definitions, but the first definition is to make or shape a metal object by heating it in a fire or furnace and beating or hammering it. So a lot of blacksmiths and stuff like that back in the day did a lot of forging, and you forge it with heat and fire and by beating it. And one thing, David Goggins talks about a lot, which is someone who's really inspired me to do this, running, and really just changed my life in general. He was one of the, I could say top 5 people that have really influenced me to do what I'm doing. One of his things he always talks about is you can't forge, you can't, create the sharpest sword without putting it through fire and without beating it. And that's kind of a good analogy. It's kind of a good thing to think about. When he says it, and he said that in that kind of analogy, and thinking about it and putting it in that perspective, which, it's just the definition of it, of forging something. The idea of if you're going to be tough, if you're going to be sharp, if you're going to be dangerous and useful, you're going to have to go through a lot of beating. You're going to have to go through a lot of heat, a lot of fire, and a lot of just getting beat down. And all of that is going to make you resilient. All of that is going to really forge you into something stronger and sharper and a weapon to use within your future. And to really think about, life like that. And it's within those moments that when I'm hearing that, that's how I try to really start thinking about my life, is like that. And it's within those moments of being beat down and under a lot of pressure and a lot of heat and just feeling overwhelmed and stuff. It's within those moments when I really think, this is really just developing me into being a stronger person. It's developing me into it's forging me into the weapon I need to become. And especially, throughout this year, And just even the past year as well of me just kind of running, really trying to forge myself into something to reckon with. I want to go out there and I want to be the best I can be. I want to go out there and put as many miles in and get better and get faster and become an ultra runner. I want to run a 100-mile race eventually. I want to run a 50-mile race and do all these, and all these. I have all these ambitious goals now, and I realize that in order to do that, I have to put in the work. I have to really go out there and grind. So that's what I've been kind of doing. I've been trying to go out there and really forge myself into the strongest individual I can be, in knowing that putting myself in these hard situations and putting myself through these tough times and a lot of pressure, it's really helping me develop into becoming that person I need to be. Now, on the flip side, I did kind of want to touch on the other definition of forge as well. There's a couple definitions. One is just to create a bond with someone, to forge a relationship, kind of that idea. And that's also useful. But the last kind of thing I want to talk about with forge really is the last definition, which is to produce a copy or imitation, to kind of forge something, to fake something. And a lot of people go that route of forging instead of the first route of forging, of putting yourself through the fire, beating yourself down to become sharper. A lot of people, including myself for the longest time, went the route of trying to imitate, trying to produce a fake copy to get by, trying to take the easy route, trying to cheat the way through. And it's kind of interesting that this word can have two almost opposite definitions within that meaning of, one of really putting in the work and beating something and to make it stronger and to make something sharp. And the exact opposite of imitating something to try to deceive someone as being rich or sharp, whatever the case may be. So it's kind of interesting to think that so for your daily discipline today, it is actually to realize that we are always doing some kind of forging in our lives, and to try to focus in on doing your daily discipline today is to forge yourself by making yourself stronger, by putting yourself under that pressure and beating yourself down to become the strongest, sharpest weapon you can be within your arsenal of life. Now, again, your daily discipline on the flip side of that as well is to realize that, we all at times try to imitate and maybe fake it till we make it, or whatever the case may be, but to really realize that there are no shortcuts within this life. If you want to get to where you're going, if you take shortcuts, it's only hurting you in the long run. So the best thing to do is take the hard route and to forge yourself that way, and not forge yourself by trying to cheat your way there. That is your daily discipline for the day today, day 348 in a row. Other than that, I want to thank you guys so much for following along and listening. If you guys can, please give this podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, and a share on our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok, our YouTube, and whatever podcast streaming platform you've been following along and listening on. Other than that, thank you guys so much for following along and listening, and I will see you guys tomorrow for episode 349. Until then, stay disciplined, get your donations in for this month's fundraiser, and peace out.